the judge's statement is not one that we should weaponize. But there is a political lesson. The People's National Party was in power when the court matter was taking place. And that makes this politically uncomfortable for them. Because as I said earlier, they cannot wash their hands of this matter. But the judge was effectively asking Jamaica to examine its own mind. Think about the metaphor. The judge didn't say change the land. He essentially said change the mind. That is profound. Because laws can change quickly. A parliamentary act can pass. A court order. A court can issue an order. A title can be registered. But social assumptions can survive for generations. You can remove legal structure. You can remove the legal structure of colonialism and you retain the class prejudice, the assumptions about who belongs at the top. Look on all this little program here. Politics Matter, Jamaica. The Hello Neighbor Show. All we are suffer in our country. Because I shouldn't we. And where he come from? Where he come from? Assumptions about who deserves wealth. Assumptions about who should own large properties. That is what mental decolonization means in this context. And Cooper's pen forces Jamaica to ask an uncomfortable question as I go to Scratchy and Harry. Because if the judge was correct in identifying this kind of mindset decades ago, have we actually emancipated ourselves from it? Because today's argument is still remarkably similar. Let's jump over to the analysts and have their say. Let's have their say on this matter. Who do we have up first? Member Harry?
Good night, neighbor. Good night, everybody.
Member, thank you for joining us on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. Saturday evening, member, we have pulled out a statement made by the judge in this Cooper's pen matter, and we played it last night. But the statement actually said the hardship suffered by Mr. Chisholm appeared to result from a view held by public officials and the claimant that because he did not come from a tradition of large landowners, he had no right to own such a large parcel of land, and that the remedy was an emancipation of minds. Member Harry, what is the judge saying there?
Well, neighbor, let me break it down a little different, because it falls on what the value of the land mean, or the meaning of the land in this case, right? And I'll use a little of the plantation society theory to explain it.
Yes.
Because in the theory, the land represents wealth, security, independence, inheritance, and two of the most prolific things: political power,
yes,
and social status.
Correct.
Right? Because he who obtains land, or in this case, large portions, is not politically independent, who also dictates what they do with their very own lives. So them not depend, in a sense, they depend on a politician, and as such, they are self-sufficient.
Yes.
Now, with the plantation society, very few controls access to that, whether it is control the access to the wealth, to the the independence, the political power that they can wield, and your very social status in society.
It's a minority who is able to be where you just read there.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Right? And as such, you can know whether you want to manipulate or because you control this resource, neighbor, that is so valuable and very few have it. You are almost pretty much the upper echelons of society. And as such, that power which you have through the land, you can help dictate and shape society itself.
Correct.
That is the mindset in the modern day in which was sought to be upheld. Even though we're not on the plantation anymore, the idea and certain characteristics of it was shaped and changed in a manner or clothed in a manner that looks different from what actually happened on the sugar plantation.
Yes.
What we're seeing now, neighbor, is that it's very similar because a specific set of people in that time was able to hold these resources. It is the same act by which the mindset or the idea of it that Maurice Guy and the then People's National Party sought to uphold. Because if they control this valuable land, the very few, and anyone who they don't deem as a part of them, a part of this class, the social class, then their next plan is to remove that individual from obtaining such opportunities to be a part of that class because they weren't born in it, they don't have any ancestral rights to it, they aren't in essence the groundbreakers, movers, and shakers of society, and that caste itself, neighbor, is almost closed off to a specific few.
Including the Prime Minister right now.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
So,
and Dr. Wheatley.
It is not a system and an ideology.
You can't get in there. You can't get in there, Harry.
You definitely can't.
Yeah, especially if you're black.
Exactly. And the thing about it is that it is hidden behind meritocracy, where it says if you work hard enough, you can get up there and you can know.
Yes.
You buck up on a glass ceiling, in a sense. Right? They give you the illusion, while at the other end, they're the ones who take it away from you because they know that if the ordinary man, even able to get 1 acre, neighbor,
yes,
to do his own thing, they have no witness a man that has been emancipated from their control, from their idea and political maneuvering, right? You've now created a man that is self-sufficient and independent, and as such, they can't control the narrative and how you think.
Yes.
And that for political gains does not work, because if they can't control you, then politically, they are now subjected, in an essence, to you. But if they can hold that over your head, and whether it be illicit ways of getting it, or neighbor, this is the critical part, weaponizing acts or state resources under false pretense to obtain political aspirations from that individual neighbor instead of obtaining the land. Because in the Cooper's pen matter still, right? The court has ruled there is no substantial evidence whatsoever in the years they have put it through the court
Yes.
to show that Maurice Guy and the then government of Jamaica had any, and I'm stressing it, any evidence that them attempting to obtain the land from Mr. Chisholm for social development. There's no proof of it.
Not for any social development.
There was no, because there's a few things you can do when it comes on.
Yes, like what NROC does when they want it for build roads.
Build roads, housing solutions, utility lines, all of that. None of that was ever put forward. In fact, we saw the then Minister of Housing attempted to go after the case in his very own name.
Not on behalf of the government of Jamaica.
Not on behalf of the government. And plead as if he was never summoned to the court when he was.
And never attended.
Never attended.
Am I not correct then, Harry, to say that this Cooper's Pen demolition did not start when the bulldozers arrived on the scene?
No, it didn't. It didn't, neighbor. In fact, it is an issue in which affects the Caribbean neighbor, because of course, we were colonized and so on. And I believe it's George Beckford, if my memory serves me well, speaks to this issue as to what happens because of that colonial structure.
Yes.
That has created these land issues throughout the Caribbean. So it's not innate to Jamaica, right? But because of what is happening with this situation, we have yet to have evidence of another case of this magnitude where the state tries to suppress and utilize the law against the proper lawful ruling of a court. We have yet to have that published anywhere else in the Caribbean. So what we're seeing now in a neighbor is an issue pre-independence, but was magnified after independence, meaning not because we gained independence, the structure changed as it ought to, right? It still was fully much instilled in the very systems that should have changed this for the ordinary man who became now free in essence. So they were free as a people, but tied economically to the land resource, which didn't stay as economic anymore, neighbor, because under plantation society, it was deemed as economic, right? No, it is deemed beyond economics. It is deemed for dependency when it comes out to politically.
Yes.
It is now seen as where you stand overall in a class. It also utilizes and shows who can obtain wealth in the modern ways. Because not because you obtain money, you're able to purchase land as you should and hold it as yours for generation. Because what this case is showing us is that you can work hard, you can do all the right things, neighbor, have the land, and for political aspirations from any individual, this is a part of the government who has poor governance, want to utilize political arrogance to obtain or replace improper government structures, neighbor. Because that is really what happened. The Maurice Guy and the People's National Party at that time, because, and I'm using this word, it's a vibrant settlement, was stated by the judge in his ruling, right? And vibrant here, for those who are listening, no mean party. It means that it can contribute to any political individual or party to bring them over the line when needs be. So in essence, you can create a stronghold if you are seen in the eyes of those people as their savior. And that was an attempt from the then People's National Party, and specifically Maurice Guy, within that period. Because if you are deemed as the savior in a neighbor, then political loyalty falls to them.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Harry. In light of the court's ruling, especially this comment made by the judge, how does it inform or does it give us an understanding of how the PNP managed the country generally, especially during the period of the 90s?
It shows that they create a system that depends on the people's dependency on the political individuals.
Say that again.
So it shows that how they govern neighbor, they create a system that instills dependency on the political individual. And
To the extent that they were able to do that to a vast majority of people, um, maintaining the status quo, because there are still a few that they weren't able to do that to.
right, there's still a few, right? But we've seen, and we can extend it, neighbor. In
Uh-huh.
all honesty, I can extend it to what we're seeing in Westmoreland. Maybe not to the case, but to the general idea as to how they operate. The dependency on a political representative or a political party is what has kept specific areas as a stronghold in the western side of Jamaica for the People's National Party.
Could that be extended to the garrisonization of many communities too?
Of many.
Yes.
Right? And if you want to look at it, these settlements fall under illegal settlements or under the number, the high number that we have in Jamaica. It falls well within there. And there's no member of the People's National Party that can dispute that because it's facts. Right? Now, we see that large group neighbor because it helps them get over the line politically. In fact, it instills and it goes over generations. So it's almost like they are institutionalizing it, creating a norm when legally, based on the law, it should not be so. And this falls on the hands of improper governance. And this is where, you hear me say it earlier, where political arrogance, political affiliations seek to overrule or take the place of proper governance. So rather than doing what is right for the country and for those people, neighbor, because if you do what is right for them, they're now independent of you. But because you have your political agenda, you have to create that dependency, which ensures that they're not emancipated from you. And that is deadly, and it has created an ongoing issue to where we are now in current society. And to tie it back to the Cooper's Pen case, to what we're seeing now, because this was the state trying to overrule what the law says and what the court ruling is, and make it even simpler, where a political representative attempted to use